First Principles: The Radical Path to Critical Thinking. Written and published by Sonic Digest. In a world saturated with information and complexities, we often find ourselves relying on assumptions, inherited beliefs, and conventional wisdom to navigate challenges. This tendency, while natural, can obscure the underlying truths that would allow for genuine innovation and problem-solving. First Principles thinking provides a radical departure from the status quo, empowering us to strip away superficial layers and reveal the core elements of any issue. This approach encourages us to question the very foundations upon which we build our understanding, leading to clearer, more precise solutions. The importance of challenging assumptions cannot be overstated. Assumptions are often disguised as facts, ingrained so deeply in our thinking that they go unnoticed. Yet these assumptions can create blind spots, limit creativity, and perpetuate outdated ideas. First Principles thinking compels us to challenge these assumptions, asking whether they are based on truth or mere convenience. By deconstructing problems to their most fundamental components, we open the door to breakthroughs that were previously unimaginable. This process is not about discarding all that came before, but about interrogating each piece to ensure it holds up under scrutiny. The greatest innovations throughout history have come from those willing to question the status quo and rebuild from the ground up. Whether in science, technology, business, or philosophy, those who embraced First Principles thinking were able to see possibilities where others saw only obstacles. By starting with the fundamental truths of a problem, they avoided the constraints of traditional thinking and ventured into uncharted territory. This mindset allows for clarity, an unclouded vision of the core issues at hand, which in turn leads to more effective decision-making and problem-solving. In our fast-paced, ever-evolving world, clarity has never been more important. The sheer volume of information we are exposed to on a daily basis can be overwhelming. Without a method to filter and prioritize this information, we risk becoming reactive rather than proactive in our thinking. First Principles thinking provides a framework for cutting through the noise. It enables us to focus on the essential truths of any situation, rather than getting lost in the peripheral details. By simplifying the complex, we not only gain a clearer understanding, but also position ourselves to act with purpose and precision. Critical thinking, which forms the backbone of First Principles thinking, is a skill that is in high demand, yet often underdeveloped. In today's world, where opinions can be mistaken for facts and misinformation can spread like wildfire, the ability to think critically is a valuable asset. Critical thinking requires more than just analyzing information. It demands a deeper level of engagement, where we actively question, evaluate, and reframe the data presented to us. First Principles thinking goes one step further, encouraging us to not only question the information, but to break it down to its most basic components before building it back up in a way that makes sense. It is a disciplined approach that fosters innovation, creativity, and progress. What sets First Principles thinking apart is its focus on foundational truths. While traditional critical thinking might involve evaluating existing arguments or comparing various perspectives, First Principles thinking requires us to step outside of these frameworks entirely. It urges us to ask, what do we know to be absolutely true? And what assumptions are we making that could be false? This process of inquiry is at the heart of all great discoveries and innovations. It is a methodology that transcends industries and disciplines, making it a universal tool for anyone seeking to improve their thinking. As we move deeper into the 21st century, the ability to think critically and innovatively will be one of the defining characteristics of successful individuals and organizations. The problems we face, whether in technology, the environment, or social issues, are increasingly complex and interconnected. Solutions will not come from traditional methods of thinking or relying on past successes. Instead, They will arise from the ability to break down these problems into their most basic components, to challenge the assumptions that have led us to the current state, and to rebuild our understanding from the ground up. First principles. Thinking not only leads to clearer thinking, but also serves as a catalyst for true innovation. By focusing on the essential elements of a problem, we free ourselves from the constraints of established norms and create the space for new ideas to flourish. In this way, first principles thinking becomes not just a tool for problem solving, but a mindset that enables us to navigate the complexities of the modern world with confidence and clarity. In an age where conformity often trumps originality, first principles thinking is a radical act. It empowers us to think for ourselves, to question what others take for granted, and to seek out truth in its purest form. Whether applied to science, business, or personal growth, this way of thinking challenges us to go beyond the surface and engage with the core of any issue. This is where true progress happens, where innovations are born, and where the future is shaped. By adopting this mindset, we prepare ourselves not just to succeed in a rapidly changing world, but to thrive in it. The principles of clear, foundational thinking will guide us through the noise and allow us to see the world and our place in it with renewed clarity and purpose. Chapter 1. Understanding First Principles. Thinking. At the core of first principles, thinking lies a fundamental approach to understanding the world by breaking down problems and concepts into their most basic elements. It's a process of distilling complexities into their simplest, most irreducible forms, then reconstructing solutions from these basic building blocks. This method of reasoning traces back to ancient philosophers, particularly Aristotle, who emphasized the importance of identifying the foundational truths of any issue. These truths, or first principles, form the bedrock upon which deeper knowledge and innovative solutions can be built. The difference between first principles thinking and conventional thinking lies in how problems are approached. Conventional thinking, often referred to as reasoning by analogy, relies on comparing new problems with familiar ones and applying pre-existing solutions or patterns. This method works well in stable environments, but it can be limiting when confronting novel or complex challenges. First principles thinking, on the other hand, ignores the common practices and preconceived notions that typically guide decision-making. Instead, it seeks to reconstruct understanding from the ground up, free from the assumptions that might cloud judgment. By ignoring analogies and traditions, first principles thinking fosters creativity and uncovers new possibilities. It forces us to question assumptions that, though widely accepted, may not actually hold true under close scrutiny. Rather than accepting what works as a given, this approach demands a deeper inquiry. Why does it work? What is the underlying reason? What elements are absolutely necessary? These questions lead to a more profound understanding of the issue at hand and open up avenues for innovative thought. Real-world applications. Throughout history, first principles thinking has been instrumental in driving some of the most significant breakthroughs in science, technology, and industry. It's the method used by some of the greatest innovators and thinkers who challenged conventional wisdom and radically reshaped their fields. In physics, for example, first principles thinking is the essence of the scientific method, allowing scientists to break down complex natural phenomena into fundamental laws and principles. Newton's laws of motion and Einstein's theory of relativity were born from this approach of questioning what others took for granted. In more recent times, visionaries in the fields of technology and entrepreneurship have relied heavily on first principles thinking to achieve groundbreaking innovations. Elon Musk, a modern-day advocate of this approach, applied it to the development of SpaceX. Faced with the astronomical costs of launching rockets into space, Musk didn't accept the existing methods and their associated costs as a given. Instead, he broke down the problem to its first principles, asking, what are rockets made of? What are the raw materials? By analyzing the basic components and reconstructing the process from the ground up, Musk and his team were able to significantly reduce the cost of space travel, revolutionizing the aerospace industry. Another example can be found in the tech industry, where companies like Apple have thrived by challenging established norms. In designing the iPhone, Steve Jobs didn't simply rely on what had been done before with mobile devices. Instead, he and his team focused on what users actually needed at a fundamental level: a seamless, intuitive experience that integrated both hardware and software. By deconstructing the conventional idea of a phone, they created a product that transformed not just the tech industry, but also the way people communicate, work, and interact with technology on a daily basis. This kind of thinking extends beyond science and technology. It can be applied to any field where innovation is needed, from business strategies to social policy. Consider how breakthrough innovations in energy, transportation, and medicine often come from those willing to strip away the conventions of their industries and rebuild their approaches based on fundamental truths. In healthcare, for instance, advancements in gene therapy, immunology, and biotechnology have been achieved by researchers who moved beyond analogy and re-examined the biological processes at their core. Mindset shift. One of the most significant barriers to embracing first principles thinking is the deeply ingrained reliance on analogy-based reasoning. As humans, we are wired to learn from patterns and experiences. This approach works well in familiar situations, but it can become a hindrance when facing new, complex, or evolving challenges. To truly unlock the potential of first principles thinking, we must first make a conscious shift away from this default mode of thinking. The shift from analogy to first principles requires a willingness to challenge the assumptions we often accept without question. It involves training the mind to break free from habitual ways of thinking and embracing the discomfort of the unknown. This shift is not easy. It demands intellectual humility and an openness to questioning even the most deeply held beliefs. Yet, it is in this discomfort that the seeds of innovation are planted. By shifting to first principles thinking, we begin to approach problems with a sense of curiosity and openness. Instead of being constrained by the boundaries of what has already been done, we start with a clean slate, asking ourselves, what do I know to be absolutely true? What is essential? This mindset encourages a form of intellectual independence, where we are no longer bound by what others have deemed possible or impossible. Instead, we are free to explore new frontiers, unencumbered by the limitations of conventional thinking. This mindset shift also requires resilience, as the path of first principles thinking is often more challenging than simply following established norms. It means embracing complexity and ambiguity, and it requires the patience to work through problems from their most basic components. But in the long run, it is this approach that leads to breakthroughs, as it opens up possibilities that were previously hidden by the constraints of analogy-based thinking. First principles thinking, at its core, is about uncovering the truth in its purest form. It is a mindset that demands rigorous inquiry, relentless curiosity, and a refusal to accept surface-level explanations. By adopting this approach, we move beyond the limitations of conventional wisdom and begin to see the world not as it is, but as it could be. Chapter 2. Breaking down complex problems. The process of deconstructing assumptions. At the heart of first principles thinking lies the ability to deconstruct the layers of assumptions that cloud our understanding of problems. We all carry assumptions, both conscious and unconscious, that shape how we perceive the world and approach challenges. These assumptions are often built from past experiences, societal norms, or established conventions. While they may provide a convenient mental shortcut, they can also limit creativity and obscure the underlying realities of a situation. To break free from this cycle, one must first learn to identify and challenge these assumptions rather than taking them at face value. In everyday thinking, assumptions tend to blend into the background, going unnoticed until we deliberately bring them into focus. The first step in this process is recognizing where we've made an assumption in the first place. Consider a simple example. When faced with a task at work, we often assume there's only one way to approach it, because that's how it has always been done. But is this truly the most efficient way, or merely a reflection of habit? By questioning these ingrained beliefs, we open ourselves to alternative possibilities and fresh perspectives. Deconstructing a problem involves breaking it down into its most basic parts, separating facts from assumptions. One of the most effective techniques for doing this is to continually ask why, peeling away the layers until you reach the fundamental truth beneath the surface. This technique strips away superficial reasoning, forcing us to go deeper into the structure of the problem. It is a systematic inquiry that unearths hidden assumptions and allows us to view the issue with greater clarity. Another approach is to examine the problem from multiple angles. Often, we approach problems from a single perspective, shaped by our expertise or personal experience. By deliberately shifting our viewpoint, we can see the issue in a new light and identify assumptions that were previously hidden. This multifaceted analysis is a crucial part of first principles thinking, enabling us to challenge the conventional boundaries of the problem and explore potential solutions that may have been overlooked. Ask the right questions. The path to uncovering foundational truths begins with asking the right questions. The art of questioning is central to first principles thinking, as it drives the process of breaking down complex problems and reframing them in their simplest form. The questions we ask shape the answers we receive, and if we limit ourselves to superficial queries, we are likely to receive superficial answers. When approaching a problem, the goal is to formulate questions that target the root of the issue, rather than skimming the surface. Instead of asking, "How has this problem been solved in the past?" a more powerful question might be, "What are the most fundamental components of this problem?" Or "Why is this problem occurring in the first place?" These kinds of questions push us beyond the constraints of conventional wisdom and invite deeper exploration. In many cases, the answers to these questions can be uncomfortable or challenging to accept. This is where true first principles thinking distinguishes itself from mere problem solving. It requires intellectual courage, the willingness to face uncomfortable truths and discard assumptions that no longer hold up under scrutiny. Each layer of questioning brings us closer to a clearer, more honest understanding of the situation. Consider the breakthrough achievements in various fields that arose from asking the right questions. In the world of physics, great advances have often been made by those who questioned the fundamental nature of the universe, rather than relying on the accepted paradigms of the time. Similarly, in business and entrepreneurship, those who frame their challenges through first principles thinking often find novel solutions that others overlook. Case studies of first principles thinking in action illustrate how this method can lead to transformative results. When Elon Musk questioned the high costs of space travel, he didn't ask how rockets had traditionally been built. Instead, he asked, "What are the raw materials needed to build a rocket, and how much do those materials actually cost?" By reframing the problem in this way, he was able to cut through the layers of industry convention and develop a radically more efficient solution. The ability to reframe problems in this manner is a key component of applying first principles thinking effectively. Applying first principles to personal challenges. While first principles thinking is often associated with fields like science, engineering, and technology, it is equally powerful when applied to personal challenges in life and career. Many of the obstacles we face in our personal lives are rooted in unchallenged assumptions and beliefs. These assumptions may arise from cultural expectations, family traditions, or our own past experiences, but they often go unexamined and unchallenged, even when they no longer serve us. The process of applying first principles to personal challenges begins with identifying the assumptions that underpin our decisions and actions. For example, in career development, we might assume that success is defined by external achievements, such as promotions or salary increases. But if we deconstruct this assumption, we might find that our true definition of success is more personal, perhaps rooted in fulfillment, purpose, or the ability to make a meaningful impact. By breaking down these assumptions, we can realign our goals with our deeper values and create a clearer path forward. Another area where first principles thinking can be transformative is in overcoming personal setbacks or difficult situations. When faced with adversity, it's easy to fall back on habitual patterns of thinking that reinforce the problem. But by using first principles thinking, we can break the cycle. For instance, instead of focusing on the external factors contributing to the setback, we can ask, what is within my control in this situation? Or what are the essential steps I can take to move forward? These questions shift the focus from external limitations to internal possibilities. In relationships, first principles thinking helps us navigate conflicts by stripping away surface-level disagreements and focusing on the core values and motivations at play. By getting to the heart of the issue, we can find solutions that are not only more effective, but also more aligned with our deeper needs and those of others involved. This kind of clarity fosters healthier, more constructive communication and enables us to address issues at their root rather than getting caught in cycles of misunderstanding. First principles thinking is a powerful tool for personal growth because it encourages self-reflection and challenges us to confront our most deeply held beliefs. It helps us separate the noise from the truth and empowers us to make decisions based on a clear understanding of what truly matters. Whether in life, career, or relationships, this method provides a framework for solving problems in a way that is both practical and profound. Chapter 3. The Role of Critical Thinking and First Principles. What is critical thinking? Critical thinking is the disciplined process of evaluating information, ideas, and situations with a clear and objective mind. At its core, it involves questioning assumptions, assessing evidence, and considering alternative viewpoints. This form of thinking goes beyond the superficial acceptance of facts. It is a rigorous examination of the reasoning behind claims and decisions. It demands clarity, precision, and consistency, requiring the thinker to engage deeply with the subject matter rather than simply accepting the conclusions that others have drawn. The connection between critical thinking and first principles thinking is profound. Both approaches aim to strip away surface-level assumptions and uncover the underlying truths of any given issue. While first principles thinking breaks problems down to their fundamental elements, critical thinking ensures that the reasoning process used to arrive at these elements is sound. They work hand in hand. Critical thinking provides the framework for analyzing ideas, while first principles thinking provides the foundation upon which to build new solutions. The more one refines their critical thinking skills, the more effectively they can employ first principles in solving complex problems. At the heart of this connection is the ability to question everything, not cynically, but with the intention of understanding the why behind ideas. Critical thinking challenges us to look at every claim with an open yet discerning mind, seeking out inconsistencies, errors in reasoning, or areas where assumptions may have clouded judgment. In this sense, it is not simply a tool for intellectual analysis, but a mindset that fosters curiosity, skepticism of the status quo, and an eagerness to explore new possibilities. Developing critical thinking skills. To develop critical thinking, one must cultivate several key mental habits and skills. Analytical thinking involves breaking down complex information into smaller, more manageable components, allowing for a closer examination of each part. This method helps in identifying the core elements of an argument or situation, just as first principles thinking seeks to uncover the fundamental truths behind problems. Logical reasoning complements this by ensuring that the connections between these elements are coherent and based on sound reasoning. It helps us avoid the pitfalls of faulty assumptions, misleading comparisons, or leaps in logic that can distort our understanding. Another essential aspect of critical thinking is the ability to approach problems with flexibility and open-mindedness. This means being willing to entertain ideas that challenge our beliefs and stepping outside of our intellectual comfort zones. It also requires the ability to evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of different perspectives. In doing so, we can navigate through the noise of competing viewpoints and focus on the core issue at hand. Problem solving is another critical component of this skill set. Once an issue has been analyzed and understood, the next step is to apply first principles thinking to generate innovative solutions. Effective problem solvers not only identify the root causes of an issue but also seek out novel ways to address them rather than relying on tried-and-true methods. In this way, critical thinking becomes a catalyst for action. It pushes us to go beyond analysis and toward creating meaningful change. Developing critical thinking also involves overcoming cognitive biases and emotional reasoning. Cognitive biases are mental shortcuts that can distort our perception of reality, leading us to incorrect conclusions or faulty judgments. For instance, confirmation bias causes us to favor information that supports our pre-existing beliefs, while disregarding information that contradicts them. Similarly, emotional reasoning occurs when we allow our feelings, whether fear, anger, or excitement, to shape our decisions, rather than relying on rational analysis. The key to overcoming these biases is self-awareness. By recognizing the ways in which our minds can mislead us, we can actively work to counteract these tendencies. One effective strategy is to deliberately seek out opposing viewpoints and give them serious consideration. Another is to constantly question the assumptions that underlie our thinking, asking whether they are based on evidence or mere habit. Challenges to critical thinking. Critical thinking faces several powerful challenges that can undermine its effectiveness if left unchecked. One of the most insidious is cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort that arises when we encounter information that conflicts with our existing beliefs or values. Rather than adjust our beliefs in light of new evidence, we may experience a strong desire to reject or rationalize the contradictory information. This creates a barrier to objective thinking and impedes our ability to arrive at the truth. Groupthink is another significant challenge. It occurs when the desire for social harmony or conformity within a group leads individuals to suppress dissenting opinions or critical analysis. In such environments, consensus is often prioritized over thoughtful debate, and unpopular viewpoints are discouraged, even if they hold merit. Groupthink stifles innovation and reinforces the status quo, as individuals become more focused on maintaining group cohesion than on seeking out new solutions. Societal pressures also play a major role in shaping how we think. Cultural norms, political ideologies, and social expectations can all exert subtle, or sometimes not so subtle, forces on our reasoning. When we find ourselves in environments where certain ideas are heavily promoted or criticized, it becomes challenging to remain objective. We may feel pressure to conform to the prevailing views, or we may internalize societal messages that frame certain ways of thinking as inherently superior or inferior. Maintaining an objective mindset in the face of these challenges requires a deliberate commitment to independent thought. This begins with an acknowledgement of the influence that cognitive dissonance, groupthink, and societal pressures can have on our thinking. By becoming aware of these forces, we can take steps to counteract them and maintain clarity in our reasoning. Strategies for maintaining an objective mindset. To maintain objectivity in our thinking, we must adopt certain strategies that protect us from the common pitfalls of bias and emotional reasoning. One of the most effective strategies is to practice intellectual humility. This means acknowledging that no matter how much we know, there is always more to learn. It also involves recognizing that our current understanding of a situation or concept may be incomplete, and that we must remain open to new information and perspectives. Another useful approach is to develop a habit of actively seeking out counterarguments to our beliefs. This doesn't mean adopting a contrarian mindset for its own sake, but rather ensuring that we do not become overly attached to a particular viewpoint. By engaging seriously with opposing ideas, we sharpen our critical faculties and deepen our understanding of the issue at hand. Maintaining an objective mindset also requires us to set aside personal biases and preferences when evaluating evidence. This can be challenging, as we are often emotionally invested in the ideas we hold or the outcomes we desire. To overcome this, we must develop a sense of detachment from the ideas we are evaluating. Rather than seeing them as extensions of our identity, we can view them as hypotheses to be tested and scrutinized. Regular self-reflection is another key strategy. Taking the time to reflect on our thinking processes allows us to identify areas where biases may have crept in, or where we may have relied too heavily on assumptions. Through introspection, we can refine our thinking and ensure that it remains aligned with the pursuit of truth. Critical thinking is not a passive process, nor is it something that can be mastered overnight. It requires continual practice and vigilance. By actively developing our ability to analyze, reason, and solve problems, we can approach challenges with the clarity and precision that first principles thinking demands. Chapter 4. First Principles. Thinking for Innovation. The Power of Zero-Based Thinking. At the heart of innovation lies the ability to strip away preconceived notions and start from nothing. Zero-based thinking embodies this concept by encouraging us to forget everything we assume to be true and reimagine a problem from the ground up. Instead of relying on existing models, rules, or methods, zero-based thinking starts from scratch, questioning everything down to the most basic components. This approach has been pivotal in unlocking breakthroughs in a wide array of fields, from entrepreneurship to science, where thinking without boundaries leads to unprecedented solutions. Zero-based thinking encourages us to ask questions like, if I were to approach this problem with no prior knowledge, what would be the simplest, most fundamental aspects I need to consider? This practice dissolves the mental clutter caused by habitual thinking, which can limit creativity. When entrepreneurs or innovators apply this method, they often discover that the solutions they had been seeking were obscured by unnecessary complexity, outdated systems, or assumptions that no longer hold. Consider industries that have undergone radical shifts due to this way of thinking. Disruptive companies often emerge because their leaders applied first principles and zero-based thinking to question the fundamental premises that had been accepted for too long. They challenged the notion that this is how it's always been done, and in doing so transformed entire sectors, changing how we live, work, and communicate. How to generate breakthrough ideas. Generating breakthrough ideas begins by questioning everything, especially the status quo. The most groundbreaking innovations throughout history have often been the result of questioning the very foundations of how things are done. This does not mean merely tweaking existing concepts, but completely rethinking the processes, structures, and assumptions behind them. The boldness required to do so can seem daunting, but it is also where the potential for true innovation lies. When we embrace first principles thinking, we allow ourselves the freedom to discard the limiting assumptions and constraints that often shape our thoughts. This opens up space for novel insights and ideas that challenge conventional wisdom. By consistently asking why and what if, we uncover new possibilities that had previously been hidden beneath layers of ingrained habits and practices. For innovators, this mindset is crucial. It enables them to see opportunities for change that others may overlook. A key technique for generating breakthrough ideas through first principles thinking is reframing challenges. Instead of seeing a problem as fixed or bound by specific constraints, one must look at it through a fresh lens. For example, instead of asking how to improve an existing product, ask what need the product is trying to fulfill at its core. Once the fundamental need is identified, alternative solutions that are more efficient, affordable, or effective may become apparent. Reframing also requires a level of curiosity and openness that welcomes ambiguity and uncertainty. Rather than rushing to find the quickest solution, innovators take the time to explore the problem fully, understanding it from multiple angles. They are not afraid to challenge assumptions or push the boundaries of what is considered possible. This method has led to some of the most profound innovations in history, from the light bulb to the internet, all rooted in a relentless pursuit of foundational truths. Overcoming resistance to innovation. One of the most significant challenges innovators face is resistance, whether from individuals, organizations, or society as a whole. New ideas often clash with established norms and systems, leading to skepticism or outright opposition. This resistance can be daunting, but it is an inevitable part of the innovation process. Understanding the psychology behind this resistance is key to overcoming it. Resistance to innovation often arises from a fear of the unknown. People are generally comfortable with familiar systems, even when those systems are flawed. Change, particularly when it is radical, can feel threatening to those who benefit from or are accustomed to the existing order. Innovators must recognize that opposition is not always rooted in logic, but in emotional responses to uncertainty, disruption, and the loss of control. To overcome this resistance, it is crucial to anticipate and address concerns with clarity and conviction. Rather than pushing innovation for the sake of change, innovators should communicate the tangible benefits of their ideas in a way that resonates with those who might be hesitant. Clear, compelling narratives that highlight the value of the proposed innovation can alleviate fears and encourage acceptance. This requires empathy, understanding the perspectives of those who resist change, and providing solutions that address their concerns. Innovators also need resilience. Pushing forward in the face of resistance requires a mindset that embraces setbacks as part of the process. There will always be naysayers, and many innovative ideas initially seem impractical or impossible. However, those who persist, refining their ideas and improving their execution, are often the ones who ultimately succeed. The ability to weather skepticism, criticism, and failure without losing sight of the bigger picture is a hallmark of successful innovators. Innovation can also challenge entrenched power structures, leading to resistance from those who feel their influence or status is threatened. In these cases, cultivating resilience is not just about mental toughness, but about strategic thinking. Innovators must build coalitions of supporters, create momentum through early successes, and demonstrate the practical value of their ideas. By doing so, they can gradually erode opposition and shift the balance in favor of progress. In conclusion, first principles thinking, when applied with zero-based creativity, provides the tools needed to unlock innovation in any field. Whether generating new ideas, reframing old problems, or overcoming resistance, this approach allows innovators to transcend conventional limitations and bring forth solutions that fundamentally change the way we think, work, and live. The journey to innovation may be fraught with challenges, but it is the radical questioning and fearless pursuit of first principles that fuel breakthroughs capable of reshaping the world. Chapter 5. First Principles in Science and Philosophy. First Principles in Scientific Inquiry. Science, at its core, is the discipline of breaking down complex phenomena to uncover the fundamental truths that govern the natural world. When scientists engage in inquiry, They often begin with questions that seek to understand the essential properties and laws underlying observable phenomena. This process of reduction, stripping away assumptions, variables, and preconceived theories, allows for the discovery of first principles that can then be built upon to develop more complex systems of understanding. First principles thinking in science is about asking, what are the basic building blocks that govern this phenomenon? In physics, for example, first principles thinking is evident in the way that laws of motion, gravity, and thermodynamics were developed. These laws weren't the result of merely observing the world and making comparisons to past theories, but from a fundamental questioning of why objects move, why they are attracted to each other, or why energy behaves in particular ways. When Isaac Newton observed the falling apple, he wasn't content with understanding that objects simply fall. He wanted to know why they fall, leading to the formulation of the law of gravity, a principle that became a cornerstone of physics. Similarly, in chemistry, the periodic table is a testament to the power of first principles. Instead of viewing elements as individual substances with isolated properties, chemists discovered that each element shares foundational characteristics based on atomic structure. This breakthrough allowed scientists to organize elements not based on arbitrary classifications, but on their essential properties, the number of protons in their nucleus, their valence electrons, and how these contribute to their behavior and reactions. By identifying these core principles, chemists unlock the ability to predict the behavior of elements in unprecedented ways. In biology, first principles thinking has been central to the understanding of life itself. The discovery of DNA as the fundamental blueprint for all living organisms exemplifies how scientists can break down biological processes into their most essential components. DNA is the first principle from which everything else in biology stems, whether it is the replication of cells, the transmission of hereditary traits, or the mutation of organisms over time. Philosophical foundations of first principles. Long before science formalized the practice of breaking down phenomena to their foundational elements, philosophy sought to uncover the basic truths that guide human understanding and existence. Thinkers like Aristotle, Descartes, and others used first principles not only to explain the natural world, but also to explore the nature of reality, knowledge, and ethics. For these philosophers, first principles thinking was about seeking out the most basic and undeniable truths upon which all knowledge could be built. Aristotle viewed first principles as self-evident truths that could not be deduced from anything more fundamental. For him, these principles formed the foundation of all knowledge. By identifying the essential causes or why behind things, Aristotle believed one could come to an understanding of the very nature of being. In his work on metaphysics, he explored how every complex structure in reality must be reducible to simpler, more primary forms. Later, René Descartes expanded on this idea, famously declaring, "I think, therefore I am," as his first principle of philosophy. He stripped away all assumptions and questioned the very nature of existence itself, arriving at a single, indubitable truth. The fact that he could think was proof of his own existence. Descartes' method of radical doubt led to an intellectual movement that encouraged the deconstruction of accepted knowledge to arrive at fundamental truths. Philosophy continues to employ first principles thinking to this day. Whether it is in the realm of epistemology, ethics, or metaphysics, philosophers begin by questioning the most basic assumptions about what it means to know, to be, and to act. They push beyond surface-level understanding to uncover universal principles that apply across all areas of human inquiry, using first principles to navigate moral and ethical dilemmas. First principles thinking also offers a profound approach to addressing moral and ethical questions. When faced with complex dilemmas, it is easy to become entangled in the specific details or societal norms that shape our views. However, by breaking down these issues to their core values and beliefs, it becomes possible to navigate them with greater clarity and purpose. At its heart, moral decision-making rooted in first principles thinking is about identifying the foundational truths that govern what is right and wrong. In many ethical discussions, the surface-level debate may revolve around actions or outcomes, but first principles thinking demands that we ask deeper questions. Why do we believe something is right or wrong? What are the core values that guide our sense of justice, fairness, and morality? These questions lead to a more thoughtful and deliberate approach to ethics, one that is not influenced by societal pressures or emotional biases, but by fundamental truths. For instance, in debates around justice, first principles thinking pushes individuals to consider the foundational value of equality. By asking why equality matters and what it means for human dignity, one can navigate ethical dilemmas with greater precision. Similarly, questions of freedom, autonomy, and responsibility must be deconstructed to their basic principles in order to apply them consistently across different situations. Consider the challenges faced by leaders or policymakers when deciding on issues of public welfare, privacy, or individual rights. These decisions often involve competing interests, where the temptation is to address immediate concerns rather than focusing on core ethical principles. A first principles approach would involve deconstructing these dilemmas to identify the core values at play. Balancing the rights of individuals with the needs of the community, for example, and understanding how these values interrelate. When addressing ethical questions from a first principles standpoint, one must also be mindful of the cognitive biases and emotional influences that can cloud judgment. Stripping away these distractions and returning to foundational moral truths allows for a more objective and rational approach to decision-making. By returning to the core values that guide human behavior, such as fairness, justice, compassion, and integrity, one can navigate ethical dilemmas with a greater sense of clarity and purpose. In personal life, this method helps individuals align their actions with their deepest values. By constantly questioning and challenging assumptions about what is morally correct, people can avoid the pitfalls of blindly following societal norms or external pressures. Instead, they operate from a foundation of core principles that reflect their true beliefs and values, allowing for a more authentic and ethical way of living. Chapter 6. Applying First Principles to Decision-Making. First Principles in Business Strategy. In business, first principles thinking has proven to be a powerful tool for companies that seek to break away from the conventional wisdom that often stifles innovation. Successful organizations don't just follow established norms. They challenge the status quo by distilling problems to their core elements and rebuilding their strategies from the ground up. This method of thinking allows businesses to develop competitive advantages that others overlook because they're too focused on traditional ways of doing things. At the heart of this approach is the ability to identify and question foundational assumptions. Companies that excel in innovation don't just accept market conditions as they are. They ask, what do our customers truly need, and how can we deliver that in the most effective way? Instead of merely improving on existing products or services, they break problems down to their most basic parts and explore new possibilities. This is how market disruptors are born. Root cause analysis is another critical component of decision-making in business strategy through first principles. When a problem arises, rather than addressing the symptoms, effective leaders will continuously ask why, until they get to the underlying cause. This allows for solutions that are both sustainable and transformative. By focusing on the root causes, businesses can develop strategies that address the core issues rather than simply patching over the symptoms, leading to long-term growth and resilience. Moreover, companies that utilize first principles thinking often find themselves less susceptible to external pressures and market fluctuations. Rather than being reactive to trends or fads, They remain focused on their core mission, building their strategies on a solid foundation of first principles that allow them to pivot and adapt without losing sight of their fundamental goals. First principles in financial decision-making. Financial decisions are often clouded by complex market narratives, emotional biases, and societal expectations. However, applying first principles thinking to finances enables individuals and organizations to cut through the noise and make decisions rooted in logic and clarity. The ability to deconstruct financial assumptions and trends is invaluable for anyone aiming to achieve long-term stability and growth in their financial life. In investing, for example, many are tempted to follow market trends or buy into popular opinions about which assets are most profitable. Yet, first principles thinking encourages a different approach. Instead of being swayed by external opinions, investors ask fundamental questions about the intrinsic value of an asset. What drives the value of this stock, bond, or commodity? What are its real-world applications? And how will it perform in different economic conditions? By stripping away the noise and reducing a financial decision to its core components, one can avoid speculative bubbles and focus on opportunities that are grounded in sound reasoning. Similarly, when it comes to personal financial planning, this mindset can help individuals make better decisions about savings, retirement, and long-term wealth creation. Instead of following blanket advice like save 10% of your income or invest in index funds, individuals who apply first principles thinking ask deeper questions. What are my long-term goals? How much do I need to achieve them? What is the best use of my financial resources today to secure the future I desire? This shift from general advice to personalized, foundational decision-making leads to more deliberate and effective financial strategies. In challenging economic times, the importance of this approach becomes even clearer. By focusing on the fundamentals, such as cash flow, risk management, and the actual value of assets, first principles thinking provides clarity and confidence in an environment where uncertainty can often lead to rash decisions. It allows for financial decisions that are less about reacting to short-term market conditions and more about building lasting wealth based on well-thought-out principles. First principles in relationships and personal life. While first principles thinking is often associated with business and science, its application to relationships and personal life is just as profound. Relationships are shaped by a myriad of expectations, societal norms, and inherited beliefs that can cloud judgment. By applying first principles thinking, one can strip away these external influences and focus on the foundational truths that foster genuine connection and personal fulfillment. In relationships, whether personal or professional, many conflicts arise from assumptions, miscommunication, or unmet expectations. By deconstructing these issues to their core, individuals can gain clarity and understanding about the root causes of conflict. Instead of getting caught up in surface-level disagreements, one can ask, what is really driving this issue? Or, what is the core need or concern that isn't being addressed? This approach leads to more constructive conversations and solutions that address the underlying problems rather than just the symptoms. First principles thinking also encourages individuals to question societal expectations in relationships. Many people make life choices, whether in friendships, romantic relationships, or family dynamics, based on what is expected of them by society or tradition. But when these choices are examined through the lens of first principles, individuals begin to ask, what truly matters to me in my relationships? What are the fundamental values and needs that must be met? This clarity helps in building stronger, more authentic relationships that are grounded in mutual respect and understanding. When applied to personal decisions, first principles thinking fosters a life built on authenticity rather than external pressures. Many people make significant life choices, such as career paths, lifestyle decisions, or even major purchases, based on societal norms or the expectations of others. Yet by breaking down these decisions to their core, individuals can better align their actions with their true desires and values. For example, instead of choosing a career based on what others deem successful, first principles thinking encourages one to reflect on their core interests, strengths, and long-term fulfillment. The same approach can be applied to major life decisions such as where to live, how to spend time, and what goals to pursue. This method can also be incredibly empowering when navigating personal challenges. By addressing challenges from a foundational level rather than just reacting to external circumstances, individuals gain greater control over their lives. They can prioritize decisions that truly reflect their core values and long-term goals, rather than making reactive choices that might serve short-term comfort, but leave them feeling unfulfilled in the long run. In all aspects of life, whether it's in business, finance, relationships, or personal decisions, first principles thinking provides a powerful framework for cutting through complexity and focusing on what truly matters. It encourages a mindset that is less concerned with external pressures or superficial solutions and more attuned to the core principles that drive lasting success, happiness, and fulfillment. Chapter 7. The process of cultivating a first principles mindset. Building mental models. A key element of first principles thinking is the development of mental models, representations of how the world works, based on fundamental truths. These models serve as frameworks for interpreting reality, helping to simplify complex systems and identify the essential components within any problem. They guide decision-making and problem-solving by stripping away unnecessary details and allowing one to focus on the core of the issue. Constructing a mental model begins with identifying the most basic truths about a situation. Instead of accepting surface-level information or relying on analogies, first principles thinkers dig deeper. What are the indisputable facts? What elements cannot be reduced any further? By anchoring decisions in these truths, the model becomes a solid foundation for critical thinking and analysis. Refining and improving mental models is an ongoing process. It requires regular engagement with the problem, testing assumptions, and updating models as new information is gathered. One of the most effective ways to refine these models is through trial and error, experimenting, observing the outcomes, and recalibrating when necessary. By remaining open to learning and continuously iterating on the model, first principles thinkers improve their understanding of reality and make increasingly accurate decisions. In practice, mental models help solve a wide range of problems. Whether used in personal development, business strategy, or even scientific inquiry, they provide clarity and focus. They strip away distractions and force one to deal with the fundamental elements of an issue, allowing for more precise and informed solutions. Habits of first principles thinkers. Developing a first principles mindset is not a one-time event. It requires cultivating certain habits that reinforce this way of thinking. One of the core practices is reflective thinking, which involves taking the time to step back and analyze experiences, decisions, and the assumptions underlying them. This habit encourages individuals to question what they believe and why, leading to deeper insights and breakthroughs. Daily journaling is an invaluable tool for reflective thinking. Writing down thoughts and questions helps clarify mental processes, making it easier to identify assumptions and challenge them. Over time, journaling fosters a more deliberate approach to decision-making and problem-solving. It trains the mind to consistently engage with problems at a fundamental level, developing the discipline required for first principles thinking. Another powerful habit is embracing curiosity. First principles thinkers are inherently curious about the world around them, constantly seeking to understand how things work and why they work that way. This curiosity drives them to ask deeper questions and look beyond superficial answers. Rather than accepting things as they are, they approach each situation with a mindset of discovery, always striving to uncover the foundational truths beneath the surface. Deliberate practice is also a crucial habit for first principles thinkers. Engaging in regular exercises that challenge conventional thinking strengthens the ability to apply first principles thinking in real-world scenarios. This may involve solving complex problems, deconstructing common beliefs, or analyzing new situations from the ground up. By regularly exercising the mental muscles required for this type of thinking, individuals become more adept at cutting through complexity and identifying the core issues that need to be addressed. Turning theory into practice. First principles thinking is most powerful when it is applied practically in everyday decision-making and problem-solving. To cultivate this mindset effectively, individuals must move beyond theory and incorporate actionable steps into their lives. This begins with a commitment to questioning assumptions. In any given situation, the first step is to identify the underlying assumptions and ask whether they hold up under scrutiny. Are they based on evidence or merely inherited from previous beliefs or societal expectations? A practical exercise for developing first principles thinking is to take a common problem or challenge and break it down step by step. Start by identifying the root of the problem, stripping away all extraneous details and asking, what is the most basic form of this issue? From there, reconstruct potential solutions based only on the core elements of the problem. This process forces a shift in perspective, encouraging one to rethink the problem at its most fundamental level. Another effective technique is to engage in regular thought experiments. By deliberately putting yourself in unfamiliar or difficult situations, you can test how well you apply first principles thinking under pressure. This could involve imagining scenarios where conventional solutions don't work, requiring you to build a solution from scratch. These mental exercises help solidify the habit of breaking problems down to their fundamental truths and rebuilding solutions based on first principles. Additionally, it is crucial to cultivate resilience in the face of setbacks. First principles thinking often leads to unconventional solutions that may be met with resistance or skepticism from others. Maintaining the ability to push through these challenges, staying focused on the foundational truths of the problem, is key to success. This mental fortitude allows individuals to persevere even when faced with opposition, ensuring that their decisions remain grounded in logic and clarity, rather than emotional reactions or external pressures. As these exercises become part of daily life, first principles thinking begins to permeate every aspect of decision-making. Whether it's navigating personal challenges, making strategic business decisions, or solving complex societal issues, the ability to break things down to their core elements and rebuild from there becomes second nature. This mindset, when practiced regularly and refined through experience, enables individuals to consistently arrive at innovative, effective, and enduring solutions. Chapter 8. The Future of Critical Thinking in a Complex World. The need for first principles thinking in the digital age. In an era dominated by rapid technological advancements and an overwhelming influx of information, the ability to think critically has never been more essential. The digital landscape presents a paradox. While it offers vast resources and tools for learning, it also creates a cacophony of voices and opinions that can obscure the truth. First principles thinking emerges as a vital approach to navigate this complexity, enabling individuals to sift through the noise and focus on the foundational elements of any issue. Information overload can lead to superficial understanding and hasty conclusions, making it crucial to cultivate a mindset that prioritizes depth over breadth. This approach encourages individuals to step back and analyze data critically, questioning its validity and relevance. By anchoring decisions in fundamental truths rather than fleeting trends or popular opinions, one can develop a clearer, more nuanced perspective on challenges at hand. In the digital age, where misinformation can spread rapidly, first principles thinking equips individuals with the tools to discern fact from fiction. This involves not only questioning the sources of information, but also examining the underlying assumptions that drive narratives. By doing so, one can arrive at insights that are both grounded in reality and aligned with core values. This method of inquiry fosters a culture of thoughtful engagement, where discussions are based on reasoned arguments rather than emotional reactions. Challenges ahead: automation, AI, and globalization. As society grapples with the implications of automation and artificial intelligence, the demand for critical thinking becomes even more pronounced. These technologies have the potential to transform industries, yet they also pose ethical dilemmas and societal challenges that require careful examination. First principles thinking serves as a guiding framework for navigating these complexities, prompting individuals and organizations to confront the ethical dimensions of technological advancements. Automation, while enhancing efficiency, raises questions about the future of work and the meaning of human contribution. By breaking down these issues to their foundational components, stakeholders can explore how to leverage technology in ways that amplify human potential rather than diminish it. This involves considering not only the economic implications, but also the social and psychological effects of a rapidly changing job landscape. In the context of globalization, first principles thinking encourages a deeper understanding of interconnectedness. As borders blur and cultures collide, it is essential to analyze the underlying principles that govern international relations, trade, and cooperation. By focusing on core human values, such as respect, empathy, and mutual benefit, individuals can foster a more equitable and sustainable global community. This approach helps navigate the complexities of differing ideologies and practices, ultimately leading to more harmonious interactions on the global stage. Becoming a thought leader through first principles. Embracing first principles thinking positions individuals as thought leaders within their industries and communities. This mindset encourages innovative solutions and fresh perspectives, inspiring others to question conventional wisdom and explore new possibilities. By articulating ideas grounded in fundamental truths, thought leaders can effectively influence discourse and drive meaningful change. To become a thought leader, one must actively engage with the challenges facing their field and apply first principles thinking to propose actionable solutions. This involves not only understanding the current landscape, but also anticipating future trends and disruptions. By framing discussions around core values and essential truths, thought leaders can cultivate a shared vision that resonates with diverse audiences. Inspiring change also requires a commitment to fostering an environment of critical inquiry. Encouraging dialogue that challenges assumptions and explores new ideas promotes a culture of innovation. By leading discussions that prioritize first principles thinking, individuals can galvanize communities to adopt this mindset and drive progress. Furthermore, thought leaders have a responsibility to mentor and empower others in their journey toward critical thinking. By sharing insights, resources, and strategies, they can help cultivate a new generation of thinkers equipped to tackle the complexities of a rapidly evolving world. This not only enhances individual capacities for critical analysis, but also contributes to a broader societal shift toward deeper, more thoughtful engagement with pressing issues. In a complex world, the future of critical thinking lies in the ability to return to first principles, enabling individuals to navigate uncertainty with clarity and purpose. Embracing this approach will not only help in solving immediate challenges, but also in fostering a resilient and adaptive society, poised to thrive amidst the complexities of the digital age. Conclusion: embracing the radical path. Why first principles? Thinking is essential for the future. In a world marked by rapid change and complex challenges, the ability to engage in first principles thinking is not just advantageous, it is essential. This mindset enables individuals to strip away assumptions and biases, revealing the core truths that underlie various issues. In a society inundated with information and competing narratives, embracing a foundational approach to problem-solving fosters clarity and informed decision-making. As we face unprecedented technological advances, environmental challenges, and societal shifts, first principles thinking empowers us to navigate these complexities with confidence. It encourages a culture of inquiry, where questioning the status quo is not only accepted, but celebrated. This approach nurtures innovation, driving us to explore uncharted territories and seek solutions that transcend conventional limitations. Moreover, first principles thinking cultivates resilience. By anchoring our beliefs and actions in fundamental truths, we become less susceptible to the distractions and pressures of the external environment. This inner strength allows us to tackle obstacles head-on, maintaining focus on our objectives even amidst uncertainty. In a future that promises both challenges and opportunities, the capacity to think critically and independently will be a defining factor in personal and collective success. Your next steps. Embarking on the journey of first principles thinking requires commitment and intentionality. Begin by actively questioning the assumptions that inform your daily decisions. Develop a habit of examining the foundational elements of problems rather than accepting prevailing narratives at face value. Create a framework for your thinking by breaking down complex issues into their simplest components, which will lead you to deeper insights. Engage in reflective practices such as journaling or meditation to clarify your thoughts and reinforce your understanding of core values. These practices encourage a deeper connection with your intrinsic motivations, providing a solid grounding as you navigate the complexities of life and work. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals who challenge and inspire you to think critically. Collaborative environments foster diverse perspectives, enriching the exploration of ideas and solutions. Seek out opportunities for continuous learning. Whether through formal education, mentorship, or self-directed study, expanding your knowledge base enhances your ability to apply first principles thinking across various contexts. Regularly expose yourself to different viewpoints and disciplines, allowing for cross-pollination of ideas that can lead to innovative breakthroughs. Final thoughts on radical critical thinking. Adopting a mindset rooted in first principles is a radical act of empowerment. It invites you to reclaim agency over your thoughts, decisions, and actions in a world that often seeks to impose conformity. This journey is not merely about intellectual engagement. It is a transformative process that reshapes how you perceive and interact with the world around you. As you embrace this path, remember that critical thinking is a lifelong endeavor. It is not a destination, but a continuous practice of inquiry, reflection, and adaptation. By committing to this radical way of thinking, you position yourself as an agent of change, capable of influencing not only your own life, but also the lives of others. The future belongs to those who dare to question, innovate, and lead with clarity and purpose, guided by the foundational truths that resonate within.